Board right now. There we go. And let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen any of the stuff about this event, but some of the people I'm up against are frankly ridiculous.
I've only seen you mention Tony Kanan. That's the
Yeah.
Are there more big names?
Yeah. Do you know Marcus? I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname. Soholm?
I don't.
Canadian esports alien.
I don't, but that's more because I don't necessarily know all the aliens.
No, that's fair enough. Alex Dunn, who's an Irish lad.
Yep, I know him.
He's in F3.
Yep, I know him. Orange
yeah,
MP Motorsport F3, I think.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of other names. I was looking at people's lap times in a shared practice session the other day, and I've got people doing 130s.
Okay.
So
that's pretty fast in any condition.
About 10 times.
Yeah, but we're assuming that they're not going to crash or have issues. So
that's true. Plus, we are going to have rain in this event.
Really? You're actually going to have rain in the event?
Yep. It'll be the first endurance on iRacing with rain. I was too late on the brake stand.
Yeah, don't worry. No problem. Just getting enough laps that we know we've got at least one that we can look at as a really representative data trace lap.
Well, I didn't die.
Yeah, and up to that point, that looked like a really tidy first lap, so...
No. Too early on the gas.
Yeah, just watched the replay back of that. I just watched the replay back of that bus stop, and visually it looked like you just hadn't quite scrubbed off enough speed to then get back on the gas. But you were far enough through the corner that you wanted to get back on the gas. But yeah, we hadn't scrubbed off the speed enough to be able to.
Yes.
In fact, whilst you're working your way through the rest of this lap, I'm just going to go back and see what the speed was, just so I'm not guessing. Let's just see. I do that all the time.
That makes me feel a bit better. Right, faster and no off track. I think. What are we getting here?
Nice.
Oh, balls that up.
Okay, we'll have a look at why when we finish the session. Like why
I came
that's
off
different.
brakes too early. I was a bit
Right.
too excited. I bit the brake in, but I was slower that time than
Yeah.
previous lap.
So I think we're leaving a little bit too much margin in terms of the first curb by the looks of it. So I'm just going to double check, but that's what it felt like from the onboard.
Some more aggressive turning.
Yeah, you're about a car width, at least half a car width further right than I am. Yeah, and you're not close to touching the grass, for example. So I think you can go in shallower. It's not dramatic in real terms, but when you pause it, you can see the difference. And that is just making your line artificially half a car width tighter in the middle as well, which is like restricting the speed you can then carry. That's all. It's only a small tweak, really, but we can definitely get further left on that entry curb without risking an off track. If you go as far as I'm going, it definitely is risking an off track, but there's like a halfway point that will make your life slightly easier.
Okay.
So this time, just aim to maybe touch the grass, and you'll probably not quite touch the grass just from the understeer. It's not going to be easy. So you definitely kissed the end piece, but because you hit that end piece but none of the rest of it, that suggests to me that your angle into the bus stop is a little bit more acute. You're facing more left than I am when you hit that little bit of grass at the end. And that then means you've got to turn more to the right to get right, if that makes sense. You've got to rotate further. I'm just going to double check though whilst you do the rest of this lap. Since I have the power, let's see. Yeah, that's definitely it. You're going in later, and then you're facing much more left at the point you come off the curb. And so you've travelled a little bit further. You've had to do more of a left turn. So it'll be really obvious when we compare once you've finished this run, and I'll show you what I'm on about. But yeah, we can go in a bit shallower, I think, and it might make your life a little bit easier. That was definitely closer. was closer, but we're still about... Yeah, we're
I
still
am
going in
quite- Sorry, I've got
little
your
deeper.
screen on my right, and I am a long way on the entry, aren't I?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just that early phase, and that's then making it tighter when you have to then turn right. Yeah, and because you're going in at the angle you're currently going in, it'll be really obvious when we do this back to back for sure. It's actually making the right hand part, you're ending up too close to the inside, I think. I'm going to just compare to mine again, just so I know for sure. But that's definitely what it looks like. Yeah, okay. Okay, no problem. It's something we can think about for sure. I know we're focusing like purely on bus stop right now, but we will look at everywhere on the data.
It's a good place to focus. There's a lot of time to be lost there and a lot of off tracks that will give my opponents
Yeah.
penalties. So. And it's a drive through for every 50 incidents and then every 20 after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Closer,
on that
yeah,
entry
closer
point.
that time, but yeah, I think you can still go in a little shallower.
Right.
I think you were closer there that time. Yeah, still, it's the very first bit of yellow you touch.
Yep.
I think that can be a lit. We can just basically
Start my turn in slightly earlier.
Yeah, exactly. But that didn't look bad though. The way the rest of the corner went looked pretty decent that time.
I think I came out with a green delta. Not a lot, but a bit.
It was your fastest lap so far, at least. Maybe let's not do a full 20 minutes this time because the tyres are going to start getting a bit crappy. Maybe let's go to 10 laps, say, and then we'll have a quick review and then go again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a bit more like it, for sure. Still a little bit eager getting on the gas, but
Yeah.
that entry looked pretty like normal to me. Yeah, that was a lot more like it.
Yeah.
So I know you had
Okay,
to
cool.
take it easy to kind of line it up and get a feel for it, but the positioning was really good. Yeah, your downfall there was just getting on the power too soon. That was all. There was like a fraction of a second longer we needed to wait. Yeah, it was like it was just a little bit too soon. 2 or 3 tenths of a second too soon, hard on the gas. Immediately pushed you into understeer and made you miss the next curb. But everything was fine until that moment, for sure.
Okay. Right, we're 3 tenths up. Let's see if we can not throw it away.
Good job with the patience that time. No off track on the way in?
Oh yeah, I did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
That.
That's all right. That's all right. It looked like maybe you'd just gone slightly too far the other, but you're very close to being perfect that time in terms of the line. Yeah. So that was just a tiny bit too far. It looks almost identical to what I did that time, but I was obviously sailing very close to the wind. But the second part, though, what that allowed you to do looked really good. That was extremely similar to the technique I aimed for. That's all right. You can stop it there if you want. That's enough. That's enough for us to have a little comparison. Then we can go again. Let's have a look at the data.
Jumping out of the car.
Yeah, that's it.
Upload.
Thank you very much. So let's have a look at. Well, let's look at your last one you did and an earlier one before we were changing. So like the 33.9, because that was obviously a decent lap, but you were doing your normal bus stop technique. So let's go 33.9 and 33.464. So 33.464 isn't there yet. 33.9 isn't there yet either. 938. So 928. It might just be taking a moment to upload.
Let me have a look, see what it's saying. I think it's done. There's no blue bars on the
That's weird. Why is it
Garage
not there?
61 window.
Activity, practice, live. Okay, it's not showing any results from the session that we're live in now. You're definitely out of the car.
I'm on the button practice request new car screen.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe it's just taking its time. That's annoying. Could really do without to upload. Yeah, it doesn't think you've done any at the moment. Come on. That's a really
Normally I get a blue bar uploading telemetry.
Yeah, that's really unusually long amount of time it's taking.
Ah, there we are. It's now saying uploading 2 telemetry streams.
Okay, right.
It literally wasn't even trying.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sometimes it's instant, and other times it's not instant. Okay, right. Let's see if it comes up now. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So we want the...
One should have made it. One's still being uploaded.
Yeah, that's all right. So we want this one. I'm going to add it to this. So we got your 465, and let's add the one from earlier as well. Sorry, my Garage 61's taking ages when I click on stuff. What's going on? Why
That's okay, don't
why
worry.
is it not loading? There we go. And it was the 938. That's how I'm after. 939. There we go. That one. Cool. Lovely. Right. So let's make you red and green for the 2 different ones. So green is what you were doing earlier, and then the red was the one. Okay, it was off track, but it was at least you're going to see the difference. So let's have a little look. Let's just look at bus stop for the moment. Okay, so in terms of turning, that's interesting. You can't see a massive difference on the steering angle. I thought I'd see you like turning in significantly earlier, but it's actually quite similar. It's obviously so subtle that you can't really see it on the angle. I can definitely see what you're doing with the brakes though, but this is obviously quite. I mean, you can see this yourself. You're very consistent in the way you've done it both times, but we've got a slight offset in the brake pressure. If we were trying to emulate what I'm doing, then we've got a bit of an offset. So clearly I'm braking at a similar force both times. It's just the amount of time I'm braking really that changes. Whereas you're doing a big brake early and then a kind of token brake in the middle. To make this work, then obviously we want a bit more of a. We can carry a bit more speed in initially, as you can see on the speed line. In fact, quite a lot more speed we can go in with, as long as the second brake is more significant. Your timing is pretty much there. It's just the severity of the brake, because really, on your 2 laps there, they still look pretty similar to each other. Okay, you got a worse exit on the red
Yeah.
one, but really you've just tried to go in a little bit quicker between the turn in and like the second apex curb, but there's still a massive margin in terms of what the car can carry. Much more than I expected. Much more than I expected.
kph.
But the only reason there is because of that big break. Because actually, by the time we get to the middle and the exit, all three of us, me and both of the past Phils, are doing the same speed.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly the maximum that we can get away with through that right-left exit section. But it definitely shows that this is really, on the whole lap, when you look at that graph, without knowing anything about data, just looking at the speed line, there's only one significant place where we differ, and it's pretty clear. And when you look at the delta, okay, there's small differences throughout the lap where there's small steps, but the one big step is still the bus stop. So I think that is where we should keep our focus for the rest of this, the rest of our time today, the next half an hour or so. But there's at least something pretty clear that we could try and change. Try and make your second brake a bigger brake, and therefore you can carry more speed
of a stab
on the
and
entry.
less of a press.
No, I mean, you're doing a micro stab, I'd say, at the moment. You want a harder, a more significant stab, but it's not on off. It's still, I mean, it is if you were to play it in full speed, but really it's between, what's that? So 38.40 and 38.89. So it's a 40-meter event. I know we're traveling really fast, but it's not like bam on off. It is a press. It's just a press that begins as we're leaving the first curb and ends when we're like on the second curb. Whereas yours is like this just in that middle bit, just like a real small bit.
Yeah.
I think that's the big difference. And by doing that, you're going to free up this first phase of the corner where we're currently... I mean, it's really the only significant place you're losing time. On your fastest lap there, which I know it was an off-track, but let's just ignore that because it was so close to not being one. You're only like 500ths behind and then 4/10ths behind on the exit. So there is... Even if we found 2/10ths of that by carrying more entry speed and then you still were safe for the exit, I think that's perfectly doable without even fundamentally totally changing the way you approach this corner to try and do it exactly like me. I think you can gain 2/10ths just by carrying more entry speed and hitting the brakes a bit harder for the second one.
Okay.
What happened here with the steering lock? Okay, you obviously just wound on a bunch of... The time where you went a little bit quicker, your fastest lap, you gave it significantly more lock in the middle, so that must have been an understeer moment. But in fact, let's just have a look at it just before you drive again. Let's just watch exactly what happened. It doesn't look massive, but clearly there was some additional lock. You don't... Yeah, it's like there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look huge. It's interesting because I wouldn't have felt like that was anything particularly big. Yeah, okay. It's that early... There's here where we go to that amount of lock there. I think that actually induces a little bit of understeer. And I feel like I'm doing a similar amount to that, but now I want to know because maybe not. I mean, the data says I'm not doing that much, but I just want to see what it looks like. So you were literally 90 degrees to the right. Yeah, okay, it is significantly less. I think by using this less amount of lock here, I'm just not inducing...
steering out your brake.
It's actually doing the turn, whereas because you had that moment where, like, here, you've got actually about 50% more steering angle on, I think that then artificially makes you feel like you've got less front grip, because you do have less front grip with that much lock on, but having just a bit less, it's really hard to force yourself to do that, because you're not thinking about how much lock you apply. There's no conscious thought into how many degrees of angle. You just apply what feels like the right amount in that split second. But just at least be aware of that. You don't, unless you are... Well, hang on, I could make this even more simple. There is no reason you would need more lock than this. Even if you were going too fast, more lock would only make it worse. So actually, this is the maximum lock, just there, where that whatever that peak is there. Where's the absolute most? There, yeah, and it's still not remotely 90 degrees. You don't need any more than that, for sure, because the car can't cope with any more than that. Anyway, so any more is making your life difficult. That's something I should have picked up on earlier. I'm now going to look at your other lap. Your let's just go to like this one was good. The
hardest thing with sim racing is no seat of your pants feel. In a real car, I would feel that understeer behaviour that you're describing.
Yeah, you'd have whacked on that extra bit of lock, realised you haven't felt any additional rotation, and you would have wound it back a bit, or then just not done it again. So this was your other good lap, where you were trying.
I was a bit wide on the entry.
Still on that one, I think we are.
A lot of steering.
I think maybe this is the key to why you're not quite able to carry the same amount of mid-corner speed, or why you feel you can't. I think maybe we're causing understeer from a little bit too much steering lock. Like, and there, look, we went actually past 90 degrees, and then you realise of it, and you can only take the lock off then when you know, when you've got the room and you know you can, because you've committed to so much early. But I reckon if you just committed to slightly you see, actually, this is really interesting. You wind this on here, it doesn't really have an effect. Yeah, I mean, the car is rotating, but it was already rotating. Those extra little cranks of lock don't seem to do anything at all, which is exactly what you'd expect. So anyway, that's something to bear in mind. So we want to still go in slightly quicker. Try and take the narrow line if you can. Just don't quite get an off track. So you are playing with fire there, but you can at least get a bit closer to the fire than you do on one of the early laps, like one of these ones. So slightly shallower line. Carry more speed in if you dare, because there's clearly potential. Because I was in the same session as you here, and so it's not like I'm looking at something that's impossible. At the absolute maximum, I'm 40k quicker, 30 to 40k quicker on the way in. So it's clearly doable, even if we went 10k quicker or 20. That's going to gain you a bunch of time, provided that you then don't screw the exit up. And you're good at the exit. Like, you know how it should feel, but for sure, part of the way we're going to... Like, that was not bad at all. I don't know what lap this is I'm looking at here. But that wasn't too much lock, and the car turned absolutely fine. Like, you even used a bit too much curb. So there we go. So slightly shallower entry consistently. Like that wasn't bad, I don't think. But still, there's this margin to be a little bit kind of straighter at this phase here. Like a little bit more parallel with the yellow and a little bit closer. And then just do a harder brake here. Like from where it was actually here to here. Like just firmer. Don't apply too much steering lock. That'll give you the freedom to get on the power harder and earlier. And then you'll be able to drive off the corner. So there we go. Let's try it at least. Because, like I said, the only visible significant difference on the data is that one corner. That's the one bit where there's a definite difference and there's a definite jump in lap time. So let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
If it was a microscopic difference in time, I'd say just stick with what you're doing, because we're just, it's too late and it's too difficult to do. But I think there's a big enough potential there that there's something that you can extract. There is some benefit you can find there that I think we're not going to find on the rest of the track because it's too small around the rest of the track.
Well, the worst thing really is I could always spend my evening on active reset in a test session.
Yeah.
And just go through that section 150 times tonight if I have to.
Yeah, for sure. And you know how to use the data, so you can always just keep checking and go, okay, am I closer to the entry speed now? Okay, now I'm too fast or whatever, or now I'm still 10k under. What is the difference? Where is it? You know how it works. When there's no significant gap between those speed lines, or if it's halved at least, I'll be happy.
Oh shit.
Do you want to reset just so you've got nice tyres?
Why not?
That was an amazing pirouette. That was actually really cool. I'm just going to watch that back as a replay because that was actually really... It's like it was never going to end. So we went round. Yeah, once. Oh, it was only round once, but it was just because it was such a delayed swapper at the front in the end.
I think it was the camber on the road.
Right.
Kind of gave me an extra kick towards the end. Feel free to use it in your get faster marketing material. Right, I felt like there was less steering that time.
Yep. No, it looked neat.
Although I am
out
lap.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how good the entry was.
I'll tell you for sure. It looked pretty decent. I know it's
I think my brain was too on the braking to remember the entry, but I might have fluked it.
You were definitely better than you used to be on the entry. There's a small margin now, but not a big one at all.
Cool.
And I'll tell you, weirdly, it cuts out for me. I don't know why. When we go through in the middle of the bus stop, it blanked out. Yeah, it's like the picture just disappears for me. I don't know why.
Huh.
It's like
if you need me to share mine at the end and see if that catches it, I can.
It's only done it on that lap, so.
Nah, screwed that one.
Yeah,
right
so I didn't see like a braking event. I didn't see like the second braking event that time, if you see what I mean. Or I didn't feel it.
I was very late with it.
Okay.
And then I think I was off because I was like, now I can't steer. Right, one more. We'll nail it this time. Yeah, one of the aliens I was watching, that last turn, he starts braking at the end of the access road. I have no concept of how that is possible.
I mean, we are assuming that the setups are roughly equivalent, aren't we? Because we're just on basically the baseline here, so there will be quite a big setup potential.
Yes, he does have a real race engineer helping him.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to make quite a big difference.
Yeah. Really nice guy, South African. He started helping me and my teammate as well, even though we're up against him. Off track that time.
Yeah, and actually we went in quite late on that one. So you got your off track, I think. Yeah,
it was on the entry.
It was the end of the first curb. So we used a bit too much of the end of the curb and not enough of the entry of the curb. So that was a very acute angle that time. So you came in at a big left angle that time. We've got to do it loads of times slightly wrong and eventually, you know, hone in on the best version.
How frustrating is your job, though, eh?
Not at all.
Okay, cool.
It's rewarding.
Okay, cool. As long as it feels rewarding, that's the most important thing.
For sure.
Just don't when you get into your car and driving it to punch me.
No, I really appreciate you trying to, like, adjust a thing that you're doing that, you know, you've clearly been getting on fine with. I'm trying to make you do something which is not coming naturally. It's only because I can see such a big time gain there.
Yeah. No, that's exactly why I'm here, so keep on at me. Alright, here we go. Bollocks.
Okay,
I needed
so
the
that...
break.
Yeah, so that wasn't terrible at all. It was kind of going fine. I think when you committed to the throttle... Yeah, when you committed to the heavy throttle to get out of the bus stop, you had over 90 degrees of steering lock on, and
Right.
you went straight to full throttle. So I think you wanted a little bit less steering angle. Yeah, the steering angle like induced the understeer. And the fact that you went straight to full throttle instead of kind of going 50 to 70% for a split second, assessing, is it going to make it, then committing to full throttle. I know that happens in a very, very short space of time. But because you went loads of lock, full throttle, it spoiled the good work you'd done early on, that was all. Because the first part of the corner actually looked really good. Yeah, when you watch the replay back, everything's fine, until the moment you go to full throttle, the car goes straight on. It's like all the weight comes off the nose, and because the front tyres are turned so far, it immediately falls into understeer. So that's, yeah, try to not go to 90 degrees steering lock, that's all. Even if you can go slightly below it, force yourself, that'll be better for sure.
We can do this. Sorry if you can hear my phone ringing. It shouldn't last too long.
So still over 90 degrees of lock, but you made the corner fine. That was because you were much more patient with the throttle. But you don't want to have to be patient with the throttle. So if you can have less lock on, you'll free up a bit of earlier throttle. But
okay.
I don't know what the delta's like, but you know the corner was tidy. I'm gonna break it down in terms of.
Delta's not great on that lap.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, okay. So your line in. Your line in was perfect, absolutely perfect on the way in. You were almost touching the grass all the way through. You just kissed the grass on the exit. There's probably like half a foot more you could use, but yeah, the angles all the way through there were great. I think what held you back that time was potentially, first of all, just being safe. You didn't want to screw it up on that one. But, again, yeah, over 90 degrees of steering angle in the middle of the corner.
Right.
I'm just going to check the speed as well to see.
I felt like I was really quite slow going through it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we were. I think we were like. So you definitely didn't need that steering angle at that speed. I think you're like 15, 20k slower than the peak that we've both gone through there.
Right. All together now. Right,
Okay.
That felt like less steering.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it looked.
Yep, so that looked tidy. I think now we've really got to maximise the entry speed because it felt a little bit tame on the way in. That's because you're trying to get used to the the line that you're trying to take, so it's harder to go in. Yeah, that was less lock. That was like 45 degrees. Absolutely fine. So that was good. So you definitely... It's good that it did what it felt like it did. It's just our entry speed. I think we were too... Yeah, you were a good 10k quicker than you were on the previous lap in the middle. I just think we probably just slowed it down a little bit too much on the entry, but that was closer. That was definitely... That felt right that time. Now we just need to be brave with the entry speed, but have the same outcome and the same middle phase.
Okay. That was a bit messy that time.
Yeah, it went a little bit deep at the end. I still think we can probably carry a little more entry speed. I'm just watching that. I think the day.
Lock again, I can see it in the corner of my eye.
I think the let's look at that. Yeah, 90 degrees in the middle. Yeah, slightly over 90. I think the fact you were going slightly quicker at the same point maybe just made you tighten up naturally a little bit. I still think it's that entry phase. Yeah, it feels like too much of the speed has gone by the time we get onto both those curbs.
Okay. Alright, conscious effort for a bit less braking then.
Yeah, just on the first bit. A little bit less braking on the first bit, and then harder braking in between the two curbs. That was nice and tidy.
I do like that corner, feels nice.
Yeah, you're good at that. You seem to hook it round really well.
Nah.
So no,
I don't know
well
what
done.
it is in the middle of there.
Yeah, well done on the entry though. I don't know whether we hit the brakes hard enough, but well done on that middle. The early phase. It felt like we went in quicker that time. At least you're trying this. Like, even if you just get used to going in that little bit faster, because like I said, it was like 30 to 40k is the potential on that entry speed. If you can then tame it by the time we get to the middle, because there's no problem with your exit. Like, you know how to do the exit. That's pretty straightforward. It's just really maximising that entry. If we can get, a tenth through there versus what you have been doing before, that'll be a decent effort. Because I think you should be able to access a tenth and still be safe. It's just going in bravely and fast and then getting on the brakes between the two curbs firmly.
Yeah.
We'll assess your... Let's do like a couple more and then we'll have another quick look at the data. Okay, that was a decent effort. I've got no idea what the delta was like. I didn't.
Slightly down, but it felt more like what you're trying to get me to do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was great.
I didn't feel a big deceleration in between the two, but that doesn't mean you didn't do it. So I'll reserve judgment until... Let's do like one more and then we'll have a review.
My coffee cup's on the windowsill. I'm not sure I finished it. Yes, please. Right, here we go. Okay, I picked up more than a tenth on the way in,
Yep,
but
okay.
I've lost it on the way out.
Yep, no
But it's
problem.
a start.
Yep, that's okay. That's something to work with, because we can at least now look at what happened, why you lost it on
Yep.
the exit, whether we just need to tweak the compromise slightly. But once you've got across
I
the
might
line...
have just needed to be braver.
Okay,
Yep.
so let's take that as our example. So if you just hop out of the car and let that data upload.
Right.
So we've got a 33780. Let's see if we can compare that
Right,
to
that
what we
started
used.
uploading immediately this time.
Yeah, it just sometimes it does, doesn't it? So 33780. Tell you what's easier, I can just look at your activity rather than yeah, it's not, that session's not quite up yet, so we'll just let that keep going.
Uploading, so it has at least kicked off this time.
Yeah, cool.
Whereabouts are you off to tonight?
I'm going to the wonderful Colchester. No, hang on, Chelmsford, I think, today.
Literally
And then
down the road from me.
Is it? Okay. I think it's Chelmsford tonight and then Colchester tomorrow.
I live in a village halfway between Ipswich and Colchester.
Okay, okay. I'm going to Ipswich the next day. And then Bury St Edmunds, I think, the day after. Come on, Data, where are you?
If you like a good Chinese, find China Chef in Colchester. It is amazing.
Okay, okay. Okay, it's still not here, annoyingly.
Yeah, it still reckons it's uploading. I don't know why. I have a whole internet connection for this, so it's not being shared with anything.
I don't know why. It seems very inconsistent. Like, sometimes it really is immediate. Ah, right, we've got... There's one thing showing there. One incomplete lap. Well, whilst that's just uploading, we'll just literally look at the video of what you did on that one. So let's see how it feels. So, yeah, only a very slight gap to the wall there. Let's see.
I think that was after I'd bashed it earlier.
Yeah, I keep doing it. Okay, so you're definitely doing a narrower entry than before. You're still not quite as narrow as I'm trying to do it, but it's definitely in that direction. So you're kind of doing like a safe version, which is probably for the best, to be honest. And there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do this exact line you're doing here and still carry significantly more speed than you were in the first run.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just slightly too deep by this point, wasn't it? What were you doing with the steering angle? Let's have a look. Not quite as much as you did before,
yeah,
but
90.
yeah, still a little bit too much. Yeah, like there. It's not quite 90. I think we're being a bit harsh. Like when I look at the top
It was
of the
kind of the
steering wheel.
bravery in the middle. I'd gone in faster and then I went back to the oh shit, I'm not going to make it kind of mindset.
Yeah, you might find when we look at this data that you're actually going a bit quicker here than I am. Or it might just be that you're slightly further to the right here. I think you are.
Yeah.
I think you're more across this, which is just limiting the amount of room you've got just here. I think just by virtue of using a little bit more of this yellow on the way in and just delaying my right turn
I'll take less of that.
fraction more, I think it's that... Yeah, because you're just using a little bit too much of this early... Yeah, that early turn there has just pinched you a little bit too much to here, and then obviously you felt the need to go for a bit of extra lock. But let's look at the data and see what it says. It certainly wasn't terrible. Right, has it loaded yet?
Okay.
Yay, we've got it. Right, and it's that one. So let's go for that. Let's add it to this one, and let's get rid of... we want to compare it against your best. So let's get rid of this 465 because that was before you were doing this technique. So I'll delete the 465 and let's make this new one red. There we go. Okay. Okay, so there's an obvious change. I can see even from zoomed out view here. If I just go like this, I can see here. There's an obvious change, and as you suspected, you've lost time on the exit. So let's zoom in. That's cool though. Look, so look at that. You are way closer to what I want you to do in terms of entry speed, like much closer. So that's good. The steering angle isn't dramatically more than I used on this lap. It's just that little extra tweak there towards the end. So
You're
that's
blue, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
I'm red on this one.
Yeah. And you can see the green, what you were doing before, is such a different... I'm just looking at the steering angle now. Because you were going so much slower, you were able to turn completely different. You were able to start reducing that lock way earlier because you'd already done the turn. Like here, you're going slow enough that you can get away with being like tight and then make it off with less angle. Here, both of us are now carrying more speed, and yeah, okay, this is better. Why do we go deeper? What causes us to go deeper just here? Okay, I think it's probably explained by the fact that you were going quite a similar speed to me, but you didn't get quite as much braking force on. Still way more on the second one you did before, but if we were to compare our two braking traces, you've almost matched me identically on the first one, if we're looking red versus blue. But the second one, there's quite a big difference in pressure. So he's still 20% less pressure than I'm going for in that kind of
on
rotation
the second
phase.
brake.
Yeah, so I think you've now done really well at getting the speed to the right speed on the way into the corner, but then you're losing some of that benefit on the exit because of... There's definitely less of a loss than before. It's not, when you look at the deltas here, the green and the red, the green one, it's all at once. It's like a boom, you lose that time here to here, gone. Whereas the red one, here to here, is much less. So in the same time frame, on your latest lap, you were, say, 4/10 behind on the entry, and by the time you get to the place where you'd already lost the time previously, you're 5/10. So you're now only losing 1/10 on that entry phase, whereas before we'd lost a whole 4/10 or so in that same time frame.
Yep.
You then carry on and lose more and more out onto the next straight because of the bad exit, but still it's better than before for sure. If you can fix that, we're going to be cooking on gas. So you didn't get on the power too early, so that's good. So it's not that you just nailed the gas. You came off the throttle. All three of these laps, you're lifting at exactly the right point. You're definitely not braking too late, so that's fine. So where you're applying the brakes, where you're coming off the gas, pretty much fine. I am braking a fraction later, but it's, is it 10 meters? 13 meters, maybe? But I think the key, that's obviously not what's screwing you, because you're going slow enough on the entry because you're going slightly slower than me. So the car should easily still be able to make the corner. The only reason it doesn't is the amount of pressure on the second brake phase. That's all it is. That extra bit of pressure.
And I think it was too tight on that.
And too tight, exactly.
Yeah.
It was the amount of pressure, and it was being here rather than. Let's just check, because I don't want to tell you that and then it is actually absolute bullshit. Let's see. I've got a feeling that we're right though, and that I'm not using quite as much of that curb. Let's have a look.
So loads of that one.
Is it about the same, or is it not quite as much?
It's a different angle.
Yeah.
I think although you're as tight as me, you're more sideways.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm right, facing right slightly more. It's weird though, because really I've given myself less space here than you had. So that can't be all the answer. The amount of curb use. I think the amount of brake is a bigger deal. But
okay.
It's right. Okay, and I'm committing to that much grass. Let's just check yours again. This is why this is so useful to be able to just flip between the laps like this. and not have to guess. Because the data tells us quite a lot of the story. It doesn't tell us everything. We can just see a bit here. We can just kind of confirm with this. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm just slightly facing right more at this point. But I don't really want to tell you to change that because it's such a tiny thing. It's that.
And then I was miles off on
there.
that.
Yeah, that's where the time's gone, for sure. So it's at this point here where you should... Yeah, it should be able to get to that curb on the right. But I'm just listening for the throttle.
Add more brake pressure. Should probably turn it a bit more.
Yeah, I really think that's what it is. I really think it's just that final stop. Like, you've pretty much matched me here to here. The line almost is pretty much the same. It's just the extra braking would have made you wouldn't have pushed quite as deep here, and you'd have just had that little bit more rotation to get to here. It's so small. It's so small. What is the speed? So you're doing 188. Sorry, if you need to go, by the way, I don't want to hold you up. What is the time? Oh, yeah,
I'm more worried about you, so
I'm okay for that. I just rather know for sure. I don't want to tell you to go and practice a thing, and actually it's going to enforce a bad habit. I want you to at least know that what we're aiming for is doable. So yeah, I'm going quicker, but I must have shifted the weight with the brake because the brake only comes off by here. Yeah, you see that last little bit? The car kind of tucks in like here. It's like it's always there. It's always rotating. It never has that moment of understeer. Like just like here, it turns a bit more.
yeah.
It's like it all flows into itself. It's like even though I am actually going slightly quicker still at that point, the rear is moving, I think, because of the brake. I think the brake is the weight transfer. Even though I'm going at a higher speed, it doesn't matter that it's a slightly higher speed because the car is pivoting and then it grips and lets me drive off. But anyway, whatever the reason for that, definitely you've found tons of time on that entry. So
I can find 2 or 3 tenths every lap. That's massive over 10 hours.
Yeah, if you can, even if you do this exactly the same early entry and then are slightly more cautious on the brakes, because at the moment, actually, of the 3 lines, both of yours are less cautious than I'm being on the second brake. You're almost trying too hard to carry the speed through that bit. So if you can do everything the same on the entry, just build in a bit more caution in terms of really firmly braking just as you arrive at the second curb, and actually just as you're leaving, I think that's going to unlock the rest. And even if that red line ended up more in the middle of the two, of the blue and the green, so you were slightly closer to the green even, you should easily be able to make that exit. If I've made it at that speed, you should be able to make it, 50% of the way to the slower version. So at this point in the corner, yeah, I mean they're all quite close, but like a couple of kilometers an hour slower than I'm doing, at least you should be able to easily make it. But yeah, whatever, even if you don't manage that, that's definitely the right thing for us to focus on this run today, because that is the one place where there is, even on that lap, even if the green lap didn't exist, I'd still say that's where there looks like there's a bit of a gap between what we're doing and therefore some time. But hopefully that's some direction. Sorry we've run out of time, but
That's okay.
But yeah, you've done a mega job, man. Really, really good. And I hope the race goes
Thanks very much.
What is the date of the race again?
It's the 9th.
Okay.
I'll be
so
streaming
not long.
all day on YouTube if you look up Gantry TV if you're somewhere and you're bored.
The 9th. Okay, yeah, the 9th. Oh yeah, the 9th is a day where I'm actually at Donington all day, fully out of action. But if is it full 24 hours?
No, it's 10. It's 9:30, I think it starts.
Okay.
Or that might be open practice.
Well, I will do my very best to catch some of it because I'm invested in it now. So.
Cool.
And whatever happens,
thank you ever so much.
let me know. And let me know how
will
it
do.
goes. But thanks for sitting through so many hours.
Sessions with you. No, not at all. I'll probably book some more generic ones with you because I do more F3 when I'm not doing this. I much prefer open wheelers.
I much prefer the coaching on the open wheelers too. This is a fiddly, heavy car to get right and to be pushing. So yeah, it's more, and because we've got weird electronics and brake migration and stuff with this. It's so much simpler, the concepts in the F3. You know, you can really, there's a much more direct connection between what the driver's doing and what the car's doing, and it's more instantaneous and easier to diagnose, easier to fix, and yeah.
Yeah,
but,
much more pointy. That's why I like them.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. Right, I'm going to get off of here and let you get packed.
Good luck with the rest of your work day.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll need it.
Okay.
Cheers. Speak soon.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.